Breaking news at 11. Out of control and up in flames.
Oh no, it just caught.
As at least one home burns in the Dalles, crews work in gusty winds to protect the Oregon Veterans Home and stop the spread.
The nurses don't want to strike, but how else do we get their attention?
Preparing to picket. The changes patients at some Providence hospitals need to know about as nurses prepare to walk out. And later,
they're telling us to literally just disappear. There's nowhere to disappear to.
So what will Portland's new camping ban mean for streets full of RVs that don't even run? Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. Let's get right to a breaking update on that brush fire burning in the Dalles. It sparked around 5 this evening and has now burned about 150 acres. Tonight, evacuation orders remain in place for the areas on your screen. We'll bring them up here. Level 3 go now is in red. That includes areas east of Veterans Drive from Summit to 8 Mile Road. Level 2 get set. That is in yellow, stretching from East 8 Mile Road to Company Hollow. Authorities say the fire started on the east side of town, just off I-84 where it meets Highway 197, and those flames rushed up a hillside, scorching, as you can see, at least one home. Now, crews say the fire tonight is moving away from the city. A little bit of good news there. We're going to check in with our Catherine Cook in the Dalles in just a few minutes. But first, to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino in the Weather Center. Matt, what are the winds out there doing right now?
Yeah, David, the winds are behaving themselves a little bit more, quite a bit more actually tonight compared to what they were doing earlier in the day. Look at this time lapse of the smoke. You notice how the smoke is just laying down right along the ground. That's because the winds are too strong and wouldn't allow the smoke to go upward at all. So again, they were ripping at about 40-45 mile an hour gusts this afternoon when that fire broke out. This is a live shot from the Dalles. We're looking to the north, and I know that because there's the constellation Cassiopeia right there, the queen of the northern sky. Nonetheless, we've got a clear sky and the winds are down to 7 miles an hour and really no gusts. So that is a massive improvement compared to what it was earlier. Also, the humidity is coming up as it typically does at night, but if it's really windy, it'll stay drier. But it is getting more humid. That's good. The wind is the big thing, and the temperatures will be allowed to drop because the winds are going down. And that's the case really throughout the gorge. Here's the Dalles west at 7. Boardman, Hermiston still a bit breezy at 13 miles an hour, but all throughout the Columbia Basin, including the Dalles, the winds are dying down, and that is definitely good news. Also, we've got colder air moving in too. Look at Timberline right now. It's only 33 degrees up there at 6,000 feet. So again, the colder air, the weaker winds, all helping to make fire conditions better. Humidity will come up overnight as well. So all of those things are exactly what we want to see. Of course, the only other thing that would be better, of course, would be rain. And there is rain in the forecast. After a pleasant couple of days ahead, we get rainy weather on Sunday, and we're talking about snow in the Cascades all the way down to the passes, David. So a lot coming up for Father's Day weekend. Back to you.
But definitely a lot of good news when it comes to wildfires. Thank you, Matt. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. In Multnomah County, a jury has slapped Pacific Power with nearly $18 million in punitive damages. That is after it found the company liable for wildfires that ravaged Oregon on Labor Day 2020 and already awarded the plaintiffs $73 million. The jury also found that Pacific Power should pay damages to thousands of other wildfire survivors, which could push the total price tag here into the billions. Pacific Power says it plans to appeal. In Hillsborough, a motorcyclist has died after a crash that also involved a school bus. No students were hurt. East Main Street was closed this afternoon between Northeast 55th and Century, but has since reopened. No word on the cause. And Portland police have identified a man accused in a string of armed robberies. 18-year-old Luis Daniel Santiago made his first court appearance this afternoon. Authorities say Santiago committed 4 robberies early yesterday morning along Northeast Interstate Avenue. Police allege he shot a gun during one robbery and physically assaulted 2 people during another. So far, the suspect faces 2 robbery charges and 2 assault charges. Authorities say more are likely. We have some new information tonight as a strike looms at some Providence hospitals with some 1,800 nurses ready to hit the picket line come Monday. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom. Alma, it seems they are already running out of time here. What is Providence doing to prepare?
Well, David, Providence bargaining teams will return to the bargaining table only
after the strike, turning now, they say, to focus on patients' safety. That includes pausing some services and moving the most vulnerable in the neonatal ICU to other hospitals. The nurses union, however, is firing back with this message. If Providence truly wanted to prioritize patient care, they would be negotiating this week.
Starting Monday at 5:30 in the morning, hundreds of nurses from Providence, Portland, Seaside, and Home Health and Hospice plan to begin a 5-day strike, fired up over the contract negotiation breakdown.
I'm not sure that management have grasped what the real issues are, why nurses are upset, concerned, disturbed, mad, angry.
Richard Botterill, emergency room nurse and bargaining chair at Providence, Portland, explains the main focus for these nurses isn't exclusively wages. More importantly, their priorities are adequate staffing, improved health benefits, and more paid time off.
And I know, talking to a lot of our nurses, that there are groups around our hospital that have stated if we don't get a decent, fair, reasonable, rational contract, they're going to be leaving.
After 9 months of negotiating, they notified Providence of a strike last Thursday after a marathon bargaining session. Providence Portland's chief executive, Krista Farnham, says that's when management turned its attention to diverting patients and filling in gaps for the upcoming week.
Our number one priority is the safety of our patients. We are a very large hospital in Portland. The last time a large hospital in Portland had a strike was in 2001.
With 400 patients seeking care daily, Farnham says they're reducing services starting June 19th. They'll be taking in fewer patients, rescheduling surgeries and procedures, and transferring babies from their neonatal intensive care unit to other Portland hospitals. They're also bringing in replacement workers to cover for the nurses on strike.
We have orientation this weekend, and we will be ready to have those replacement workers join us on Monday morning.
Providence stating they'll return to bargaining after the strike, but nurses insist they could and should do it now.
We don't want to strike. The nurses don't want to strike, but how else do we get their attention to actually address the things that we have been talking about?
For the hospitals impacted, Providence recommends patients seek care elsewhere next week, with some services, of course, put on pause and others slowed down. Patients in the emergency department will experience longer wait times. You can find out more details about these disputes over benefits and pay on KGW.com. David?
Alma McCarty reporting tonight. Thank you, Alma. Let's return to breaking news now in the Dalles, where a brush fire has burned at least one home. Here is Catherine Cook with an update from the command post.
The Milepost 87 fire continues to burn tonight, and the biggest concern for crews right now is the wind. Fortunately, no new structures are threatened, but the fire has already done extensive damage. Driving into the Dalles from I-84, we saw smoke rising as fire scarred the hillside top to bottom.
Oh, I can see it. It's on the roof.
At the top of this hill, a large home caught fire. Within minutes, it was completely engulfed. Everything burned to the ground except the chimney. Other structures were threatened, including a nearby veterans home. Residents were asked to shelter in place with fire engines staged around the building. The Wasco County Sheriff's Office says the Milepost 87 fire started just after 5. No known cause at this time, no injuries or deaths. The fire triggered multiple evacuations, both level 2 and 3, meaning leave now. The Red Cross set up a shelter at Gateway Presbyterian Church at 1111 Dry Hollow Road for anyone who needs help.
Our ideal situation is honestly that we're not needed because communities have worked so hard to take care of their neighbors and to build their own resiliency and preparation practices.
Sheriff's officials tell me current evacuation orders will remain in place overnight and crews will reevaluate in the morning. Reporting in the Dalles, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
In Salem, Democrat and Republican leaders spent the day negotiating, trying to come up with a compromise that would end the longest walkout in Oregon history. But tonight, there is no word of a deal with just 10 days remaining in the current session. Meanwhile, some House Democrats are floating an idea to try and make sure future walkouts like this don't create another logjam of bills like we're seeing right now. They have introduced a resolution to change the quorum rules, which means instead of needing 2/3 of a chamber present to vote, they'd only need a simple majority the way it works in most other states.
And I think people intuitively understand that this is necessary if we want to have a functioning government, because this current situation is just untenable. We have so much Oregonians need their government to do in this moment that we need to have a functioning government.
Well, given the timing, it's unlikely this will come up for a vote this session, but could come back next year. The final decision would lie with Oregon voters, by the way. Republicans, you saw them there, have said they plan to come back on the final day of the session, June 25th, giving the Senate perhaps a few hours to vote on some of the outstanding bills. Maybe.